My name is Rachel Cole. I am 29. I live in a tiny apartment in San Diego, and my full-time job is making other people's trips run perfectly. I coordinate flights, hotels, and transfers for executives who never even learn my name. I used to think that was my quiet superpower. I did not know it would also become the sharpest weapon I had against my own family. The night everything shifted, I was back in Phoenix, sitting at my parents' dining table, my suitcase half packed upstairs because I thought, stupidly, that we were all flying to Paris together in 2 days. My brother cleared his throat, swirling red wine in his glass like he was the host of some show I had not been invited to. "Make sure you are not around when we leave for Paris," my brother said over dinner. "Would be awkward if you tried to tag along." My dad nodded. "It's just not your place anymore." I just raised a glass and said, "Understood." On the outside, I smiled. On the inside, something snapped so cleanly it was almost a relief. A week from that moment, he would be standing at the airline counter, face blanching as the agent whispered that there were no active tickets under his name, no reservation, no way onto that flight. He would text me in all caps, "Fix this now." And I would be sitting somewhere else in that same airport with a boarding pass of my own and a reply already typed. Before I show you how one sentence at this table turned into a full-blown airport disaster and the exact message I sent when he begged me to fix it, tell me, what time is it where you are, and where are you watching from? I want to see just how far this little family trip to Paris is about to travel. I did not react right away. That is important. If I had thrown my napkin down or stormed out, it would have just become another "Rachel is too sensitive" story for my family to pass around on holidays. So instead, I let my smile freeze in place and forced my fork through the roasted chicken on my plate while my brain tried to make sense of what he had said. Not your place anymore. My brother had always been good with casual cruelty, but this felt different. He sounded like a bouncer escorting me out of my own life. "You okay, Rach?" my mom asked, glancing between us, clearly sensing something but not wanting to name it. "Fine," I said, the word flat. "Just surprised." My brother took that as his cue. "Come on, do not make it weird," he said lightly. "It is just, this trip has been a long time coming. It is really for Mom, Dad, and, well, the immediate crew." The immediate crew. Like I had somehow slipped into the outer orbit of my own family. "I thought I was part of the crew when I booked all the flights," I replied, keeping my tone even. His eyes flickered, just for a second, because that was the part he could not say out loud. When Mom and Dad decided to finally take their dream trip to Paris, they had turned to me. I was the one who found the best fare, who juggled miles and points, who coordinated the connecting flights. Every confirmation email, every record locator, every digital boarding pass, my name sat on top as the primary contact, the one who had actually paid for the tickets on her card. "We appreciate your help with that," my dad said, his voice edging into that tired, diplomatic tone he used when he wanted silence more than truth. "You know how confusing that stuff is for us?" "Right," I said. "That is why I assumed I was coming." My brother chuckled, and there was no humor in it. "Rachel, be serious. You are busy, you live in another state, you have got your little travel job, your own life. We did not want you to feel obligated. Busy, little travel job." I swallowed the laugh that threatened to spill out because if I started laughing, I might not stop. "When exactly did you all decide I was not obligated?" I asked. "Before or after I spent 3 nights on hold to fix your seat assignments?" My mom's lips parted like she wanted to say something, but my brother jumped in. "Do not turn this into drama," he said. "You know I have been planning this Paris thing for years. There are expectations." There it was. Expectations. That same word he had used 10 years ago when he had convinced my parents I was not ready for the summer architecture program in Paris I had worked so hard to get into, because Rachel does not handle stress well, and she will just get overwhelmed. The program I had turned down after they cried and told me it was too risky, too far, too much. The same month he had landed his first big sales internship, and everyone toasted to his bright future while my acceptance letter sat in a drawer. So, let me get this straight, I said slowly. I plan the trip. I book the flights. I pay for the tickets. And then, at the last second, you all decide I am not welcome? No one said not welcome. My dad protested quickly, glancing at my brother. We just thought it might be better this way. Less complicated. My brother stared straight at me, unbothered. You are overreacting, he said. It is just a vacation. Do not make it about you. I looked at the three of them, the people whose approval I had chased through grades, promotions, and perfectly curated itineraries, and something settled in my chest like a stone. They really did not see it. They did not see me. Not as an equal, not as someone whose work and choices were valid, whose presence mattered. Just the girl who made the reservations and stayed out of the way. The thing about being the one who quietly holds everything together is simple. You are also the one who knows exactly how to take it apart. That night, after pretending to be too tired to watch the travel documentary they put on to get in the mood for Paris, I went up to my old bedroom and closed the door. The posters were gone, replaced by generic wall art, but the dent in the carpet where my desk used to be was still there, a small ghost of the girl who once believed that hard work and being a good daughter would eventually earn her a seat at the table. My phone buzzed. A new message from my brother lit up the screen. Just making sure we are clear. Do not show up at the house Wednesday morning. It will be awkward with the car and all. We have got it covered. No emoji, no softening, just instructions, like he was notifying a former employee she had been left off the invite list. Have you ever stared at a text so long it stops being words and starts being proof? Proof that you were never really seen the way you thought you were? For a moment, a familiar script tried to load in my head. Maybe he did not mean it that way. Maybe I am being dramatic. Maybe if I explain calmly, if I send one more reasonable message, this can be fixed. Then another memory cut through it. Me, at 19, holding that Paris program acceptance letter. Him leaning in the doorway saying, "You would freak out over the language barrier. Better let someone else have the spot." 2 days later, he told my parents I had broken down in private and said I could not handle it, and they had hugged me, relieved that I had come to my senses. I never told them he lied. I never told anyone that the only panic attack I had that summer was after I hit reply and typed, "Thank you for the opportunity, but I will have to decline." My brother had spun the story, and I had accepted the consequences. He had never paid for that, not once. I opened the email account I used for clients and pulled up our family's Paris reservation. There it was. 4 tickets from Phoenix to Paris, 1 layover in Dallas, all purchased through my professional booking portal when I had pulled a favor from an airline rep I had helped countless times. I scrolled through the details, looking at the neat line of names. My parents, my brother, my sister, and me. Because when I first booked, the plan had been that we would all go. The idea that they might leave me behind had not even seemed possible yet. A wild thought flickered across my brain. I could cancel theirs. I could change everything with a few clicks. Immediately, the guilt countered it. That would be extreme, petty, cruel. You would be exactly what they say you are, dramatic, vindictive, unreasonable. I set the phone down and paced across the room, heart thudding. Then I imagined Wednesday morning, the car pulling away from the driveway without me. My brother making some joke about extra legroom now that Rachel is not coming. My parents laughing politely, relieved there would be no tension. I imagined the airport photos, the Eiffel Tower selfies, the captions about finally living the dream while I sat at my kitchen table in San Diego pretending not to care. And then, just as quickly, another picture shoved itself forward. My brother at the airport check-in desk, realizing his ticket was not there. My dad's forehead creasing, my mom clutching her passport. All of them turning to the one person who actually understood how travel worked, and finding out she had stopped playing the role they had written for her. What would you do if the power to make someone finally feel the consequences of their cruelty sat in your hands, disguised as a simple modify booking button? I did not touch the reservation that night. Instead, I opened my notes app and started a list titled Things I Let Slide. It was a stupid exercise, but I could not stop. 1. He told Mom and Dad I cried over the Paris program when I did not. 2. He called my first apartment a phase and my job glorified customer service. 3. He told my last boyfriend that dating me was like dating a flight attendant without the cute uniform or free drinks, and then laughed like it was harmless. 4. Tonight. Make sure you are not around. By the time I got to 12, my jaw ached from clenching it. I added one more line at the bottom. 13. I never made him feel it. I always took the hit. I lay on my childhood bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the muffled sounds of the TV downstairs. The travel show host was talking about the Seine, his voice warm and smooth. There is nothing quite like seeing Paris for the first time. It can change your life. The words felt like a taunt. Paris had tried to change my life once. My brother had stopped it. He did not get to do that twice. Another buzz. This time it was a group text. Family Paris thread, my mom had titled it. Photos popped up. My sister had laid out outfits on her bed. My dad had printed his itinerary. My brother had sent a selfie with his new carry-on, grinning like a kid at Christmas. Underneath, he had typed, "Cannot wait to get away from the chaos for a bit. Just us." No one corrected him. No one wrote. Rachel, too. I clicked out of the thread and reopened the booking. My fingers did not even shake as much as I expected. Years of training had made the process automatic. Verify passenger details. Review fare rules. Check deadlines. We were well within the window for free changes thanks to the flexible ticket class I had chosen for their convenience. The control I had always used to protect them was now, very clearly, mine. I took a breath and imagined the alternate timelines. In one, I did nothing. I wished them a good trip, sent polite texts, swallowed the humiliation like I always had. In another, I confronted them directly, demanded an apology, begged them to reconsider, and maybe, they added me back at the last second out of guilt. But the power dynamic would stay the same. They would be granting me a place, not acknowledging it was mine all along. And then there was the third timeline, the one that made my pulse slow instead of race. In that one, I did not explain. I did not argue. I simply stopped making their comfort more important than my dignity. I canceled 3 tickets. I kept 1. I booked myself on a different itinerary. Same destination, same day, different connection. One that left earlier, from a different terminal. Already half paid by my airline credit and work perks. My phone screen glowed with possibility. I heard my brother's voice in my head again. Do not show up Wednesday. It will be awkward. Fine. I would not show up. Birk. I would be gone before they even rolled their suitcases into the airport, boarding my own flight while they discovered their Paris dream had been quietly dismantled by the person they had treated like a disposable assistant. I hovered over the button and, for a moment, thought about being the bigger person, about forgiveness, about what my therapist once said, "Revenge does not heal you, Rachel." Maybe it did not. but letting people walk all over you was not healing either. So I clicked. First, I canceled my brother's ticket, rerouting the refund and credits back to my account. Then my dad's. Then my mom's. The system processed it with a cheerful little spinning icon, as if I had just changed a hotel room instead of detonating the foundation of our family trip. Finally, I modified my own reservation: new connection through Chicago, earlier departure, seat upgrade using the very miles I had earned booking flights for the same brother who had told me not to be at the house. When the confirmation emails landed in my inbox, I stared at them until my eyes blurred. This was it. The line I could never uncross. I locked my phone, pressed it to my chest, and whispered into the dark room. You wanted Paris without me. Let's see how that works out. Wednesday came wrapped in desert sunlight and fake normalcy. At 7 in the morning, my mom knocked on my door, her voice soft through the wood. Rachel, you awake? I shoved my second suitcase, already packed for my own flight, farther under the bed with my foot, and opened the door in a t-shirt and leggings, hair scraped into a messy bun so I would look as unprepared as possible. Yeah, I said, rubbing my eyes like I had just rolled out of bed. You guys leaving soon? She smiled, lines of excitement crinkling the corners of her eyes in a way that made her look younger, like the version of her from old vacation photos. Your brother wants to get to the airport early, she said. You know how he is. Overprepared. He already checked us in on his phone and printed backup copies of everything. The irony almost made me choke. I was the one who had always been accused of overthinking. Yet there he was, feeling safe because of systems I had quietly built. Right, I said. Overprepared. I followed her downstairs. The house buzzed with departure energy, suitcases lined up by the door, coffee brewing in the kitchen, zippers zipping as my dad double-checked passports for the 5th time, muttering the names under his breath like a spell he did not want to get wrong. My brother strutted in, wearing a navy blazer he thought made him look European, and a smug expression that had nothing to do with fashion, rolling his new suitcase behind him like a prop. Remember, do not be here at 11, he said casually, like he was reminding me to take out the trash. We do not want to trip over you on the way out. The cab is going to be packed. Do not worry, I replied, leaning on the doorframe. I will not be. My sister Emma shot me a quick, confused look over the rim of her coffee mug. She had not said much about the whole "you are not coming" conversation, just gone quiet and stayed on her phone, which almost hurt more than if she had taken his side out loud. Text me pictures, I told her, and I meant it in a way that made my chest feel tight. Of everything. The hotel, the food, even the boring tourist stuff. She nodded slowly. You sure you are okay? She whispered under her breath while our dad wrestled a suitcase into the trunk and my mom fussed with a neck pillow. I met her eyes, really looked at her, and for a second I saw the younger version of us sharing a bedroom, whispering about all the places we would go someday. I will be, I said. I did not add, one way or another. My brother slammed the trunk, clapped his hands once, and announced, All right, Paris crew, let us roll. No hesitation, no glance at me, no space offered. They pulled away at 11:15, my parents waving from the back seat, my mom pressing her hand to the window like she always did when saying goodbye, my dad focused on directions, my brother already tapping on his phone, probably posting something about airport days and Paris energy for people who did not know the cost of that caption. As soon as the car turned the corner and the sound of the engine faded, I grabbed the hidden suitcase, shouldered my backpack, and let my polite goodbye face drop. The silence in the house felt different now, not empty, but open. I called a ride share and watched the little car icon crawl toward the house on my screen. My flight left at 1:30, earlier than theirs, out of a different terminal entirely. I had timed it down to the minute, built a schedule within their schedule, a shadow trip layered under the one they thought they were taking. On the drive, the driver made easy small talk about vacations, about good food in Phoenix, about how people seemed lighter when they were heading to the airport. Paris, huh? He said when I mentioned my destination. Going with family? I smiled tightly at the windshield. Not exactly, I said. Something like that. At the airport, I moved like muscle memory in motion. Check-in, security, shoes off, laptop out, move forward, scan, repack, follow the signs. No surprises, no delays. Months of coordinating other people's chaos had trained me for this, and there was something almost soothing about slipping into the familiar choreography for myself. When I reached my gate, I picked a seat with a clear view of the departure screen and my watch, but no view of the main terminal entrance. I did not want to risk running into them, not yet, not when everything was still fragile inside me. My phone buzzed at 12:30. A text from Emma. At the airport? I am so nervous, lol. Security line is crazy. Wish you were here. This whole thing feels weird without you. For the first time since I had hit cancel, doubt stabbed through me hard enough to make me suck in a breath. I typed, "You will be okay. Take lots of pictures. Promise me you will try a real croissant, not the hotel one." Then hesitated and added, "And if anything feels off, step away and text me." I did not tell her that there was a good chance there would be no hotel croissant. Not today. Not on this flight. 10 minutes later, my brother posted on the family thread a photo of what he thought was his boarding pass, cropped artfully with a coffee cup and his wristwatch, and the caption, "Paris, we are coming for you." The screenshot clearly showed the airline logo and the departure time. I zoomed in out of habit and saw it, the small word in the corner that made me bite down on a laugh I could not let out. Stand by. He had not noticed the change. He had just assumed everything was the same, that the universe, and I, would keep bending around him. At 12:58, as my own boarding group was called over the speakers and people started to stand and gather their bags, my phone lit up with a new message. Not in the family thread. Just to me. "Rachel, something is wrong. They cannot find our reservation. The lady is saying these tickets were canceled. Did you touch something? Fix this." Another came seconds later, the words stacked and sharper. "Fix this now." I looked at the gate agent scanning boarding passes, at the line of people shuffling forward, excited and oblivious, at the jet bridge opening like a mouth waiting to swallow them into a different life for a week. Then I pictured the scene at the other terminal. My brother raising his voice. My dad confused and pulling out printed papers that no longer meant anything. My mom apologizing to the agent for the mix-up like it was a minor inconvenience and not the direct result of the way they had treated the one person who could have prevented it. Have you ever felt the balance of power in your life shift with one vibration of your phone and known that this time you were not the one about to scramble and save everyone? I stepped out of the boarding line and walked to the window, letting 3 people go ahead of me while I stared down at the tangle of jet bridges and service vehicles on the tarmac. The overhead announcements blurred into a low hum. My phone buzzed again and again in my hand, messages stacking on top of each other like dominoes that had finally started to fall. From my mom. "Rachel, did you change something? The agent is saying the booking is linked to your account. She keeps pointing at your name." From my dad. "I am so embarrassed. They are saying the purchase was refunded to your card. Please call me, we can sort this out." And finally, after what must have been an explosion at the counter, my brother. "You think this is funny? They are telling me someone with your login canceled our flights. Do you have any idea what you have done? I have a client dinner in Paris tomorrow. This is my job. Fix it." I could almost hear his voice in the sharpness of the punctuation, the way he would be leaning forward over the counter, jaw tight, looking for someone to blame who was not standing in his shoes. A few months ago, I would have panicked without thinking. I would have sprinted to the nearest empty gate, opened my laptop with shaking hands, spent an hour on hold with the airline trying to salvage everything while apologizing profusely for a mistake I pretended was mine. I would have eaten the cost, rebooked them, and let them keep their narrative that I was lucky to be allowed in the group chat, that I should be grateful to be included at all. Instead, I took a slow breath and felt something strange spread through my chest. Calm, steady, and grounding, like I had finally found the floor after years of feeling like I lived on a trapdoor. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, but I did not type yet. I owed Emma an explanation before anyone else. Whatever fallout was coming, she deserved more than a messy version of the story screamed across a check-in desk. I opened our private thread. "Hey," I wrote. "If they are still at the counter, step aside for a second if you can. Somewhere you can read this without them over your shoulder." A minute passed that felt like 10. My boarding group continued to inch forward. "Okay," she replied. "I am by the bathrooms. What is going on? Everyone is freaking out. They are saying the airline screwed up, but the agent looks like she wants to strangle us. Mom keeps apologizing. Dad is arguing. Logan is just demanding they fix it." I stared at my reflection in the plexiglass, at the woman who looked more like a bystander than the main character of her own story, and realized this was the moment that would decide which role I kept playing. "They are not wrong about the account," I wrote. "Everything was booked through me. Every confirmation is in my name. They told me I was not welcome. They told me not to be there when the car left. So I made sure I was not part of the plan anymore. I canceled their tickets. I kept mine." 3 dots blinked on the screen, then disappeared. Blinked again. Vanished. Finally, "You are on a flight?" "Boarding in 10 minutes, I replied. "Different terminal. Different connection. Same destination." I could almost hear her breathing through the text, the way she did when she was trying to decide whether to defend me or stay neutral. "Why did you not tell me?" she wrote at last. I swallowed, my throat tight. "Would you have stopped them?" I asked. A long pause followed, so long I wondered if her phone had died. Then, "I do not know." Another message came quickly after, the words uneven, as if she had backspaced a lot before sending. "They were awful to you. I did not say anything. That is on me. I did not think you would actually do something like this, Rach." "Me neither," I typed, "until they made it very clear where they thought I belonged." She sent one last text before going quiet. "So what happens now?" I glanced at the time. My boarding group was almost finished. The agent called my number again, more firmly. I typed back. Now they deal with the consequences of treating me like I was disposable. And I finally see Paris. I hit send, closed our thread, and finally opened my brother's messages. "Yes, I canceled the tickets," I wrote, fingers steady. "The refund and credits went back to my card because I paid for them. You told me I was not welcome and not to be there when you left. I honored that. You are not my client. I am not your assistant. You will have to make your own arrangements." Within seconds, my phone lit up with an incoming call from him. I declined without hesitation. He called again. Declined. A third time. Declined. Each decline felt like snipping a wire that had been wrapped around my throat for years, one strand at a time. A new text arrived, longer this time, frantic enough that I could almost see his hands flying over the keyboard. "You are being insane. This is thousands of dollars. You are ruining Mom and Dad's dream trip just to make a point. I will lose this client, Rach. They will fire me. You cannot seriously be doing this. You can call them and fix it. Just do what you always do." I looked down at the seat number printed on my boarding pass, then back at the door to the jet bridge. The scanner beeped with each passenger, a steady rhythm pulling me forward. For the first time in a long time, I understood that there was another option besides obey or explode. I could simply opt out. I could let the consequences stand. I slid my phone into my bag, stepped forward, and handed over my boarding pass. The agent smiled without knowing she was witnessing a private revolution. The scanner beeped, and that tiny sound felt louder than my brother's shouting messages, louder than my parents' disappointment, louder than every time I had swallowed my own anger to keep the peace. I walked down the jet bridge toward something that, for once, was just for me. No one else's schedule, no one else's expectations. Just mine. The plane hummed to life, and as we taxied down the runway, I finally put my phone on airplane mode. For 10 blessed hours, there would be no buzzing, no demands, no accusations, just me, my thoughts, and the strange feeling of finally keeping a promise to myself. Somewhere between Dallas and Paris, though, at 37,000 feet, doubt slipped back in through the cracks. I replayed my mom's excited smile, my dad's careful notes, my sister's quiet texts. I pictured them walking back through the Phoenix airport, defeated and humiliated, my brother spewing whatever version of the story made him the victim, and me, the villain. Maybe, in his mind, I had become exactly that. Revenge does not feel clean when it is family. It feels like taking off a bandage and realizing the wound underneath is much deeper than you admitted. When we landed at Charles de Gaulle, the cabin filled with the rustle of seatbelts unbuckling and the low buzz of returning service on everyone's phones. I waited a full minute before turning mine back on. Messages flooded in. "I cannot believe you would do this to us," from my mom. "I thought you were better than this," from my dad. "We are rebooked for tomorrow. It cost a fortune. Your mother is devastated," from my dad again. And from my brother, not even trying to hide his rage. "You have destroyed my reputation. The client is livid. My boss thinks I am incompetent. When we get home, we are done. Do not bother coming around anymore." I stood in the slow-moving line toward passport control and let their words wash over me. 10 years ago, that would have destroyed me. 5 years ago, I would have collapsed in guilt. But now I could see the shape of what was really happening. They were finally experiencing discomfort that matched even a fraction of what they had put me through, and they hated it. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Emma. "I told them the truth," she wrote, "that you booked everything, that they uninvited you after the fact, that they told you not to be there." Mom cried. Dad just sat there. He did not defend you, but he did not defend them either. "Logan called you crazy. I told him he had been cruel for years, and this was the first time you ever pushed back." Another message. "They are still coming tomorrow. Different route. It cost them almost double." Dad is furious at the airline, but it is not the airline's fault, and he knows it. Mom keeps saying, "We did this." She is right. My chest tightened. Not with guilt, but with something like grief. Grief for the version of my family I had clung to in my head long after reality contradicted it. The one where they would see me, apologize, make room without being forced. On the train into the city, I watched the French countryside blur past and finally replied to my parents separately. To my mom, "I love you. You told me I was not part of this trip. I believed you. I will not apologize for finally believing you. When you are ready to talk about how we got here, not just what I did, I will be ready." To my dad, "You have watched him belittle me for years and called it jokes or tension. I will not attend family events where I am everyone's punchline. If you want a relationship, it has to be different. I am not a child you can manage out of the way." It took me longer to answer my brother. I walked along the Seine, the air cool against my face, the Eiffel Tower rising in the distance like the punchline of a joke the universe had told twice. The first time I had let someone talk me out of it. This time, I was here because I had refused. Finally, I opened our thread. His last message still glared up at me. "Fix this now." I typed slowly, choosing each word like I was setting down bricks for a new boundary. "No, I wrote. You told me I was not welcome. You have mocked my work, my choices, and my life for years. You turned my opportunities into punchlines. This time, the consequences reached you. I will not fix that. I hope you make it to Paris. I hope you sit with what it took to get here. But from now on, if you want me in your life, it will not be on your terms alone. I hit send. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Then again. Then nothing. Somewhere behind me, a street musician started playing a jazz version of an old American song, the melody weaving through the chatter of strangers in a language I had once been too afraid to test myself in. I had been told that revenge would not heal me, and maybe it would not. But standing there, alone and whole and exactly where I had always wanted to be, I realized something. This was not about making my brother hurt the way I had hurt. It was about finally refusing to hurt myself to keep him comfortable. Maybe one day we would talk again. Maybe he would apologize. Maybe my parents would learn to stand up instead of smoothing over. Or maybe we would stay distant, orbiting each other with polite messages and careful holidays. Whatever happened, the script had changed. I was not the disposable extra in their family story anymore. I was the one who booked the next chapter. And if you were me, if someone told you to stay away from the life you helped build, then begged you to save it when it collapsed, would you have hit fix? Or finally, let them feel what it is like when you walk away?